McDonald here, and I'm the CEO of Leadership HQ McDonald Inc. and the Outstanding Leadership Awards, and we're all about building a world of great leaders and leadership. Hence, I believe this is such a critical topic, especially this year. Like, we've heard a lot about the great resignation. We've heard a lot about the great cancellation, the great reshuffle. I kind of go, you know what? It's the great, we've had enough of toxic cultures, toxic businesses, toxic leaders, and we are still amazed that we speak to so many people and hear so many stories around people that I think now want to have the courage. Maybe it's the courage of looking at your organization, your role, your leadership, and going, you know what? Do I want to be here? Do I want to embrace and survive this toxic culture? Do I want to have the courage to stay and be the change I want to see? Or do I want to have the courage to change my life, change my career, change where I'm heading? A lot of people we speak to go, you know what, enough's enough. And it's about time now that organizations and businesses understand the impact of their actions and behaviors on others, right? Only today we had to sack someone. We couldn't work with them. It was a client that we really wanted to work with, and we'd been working with them for several months, and we thought, look, enough's enough. We're not values aligned. We cannot. And this isn't the first time we've had to let a client go due to the fact that we just felt that they weren't open to growth and they had a toxic culture. So how do you survive a toxic culture, and what does it look like? Look, it's really interesting. We put a poll up recently around, like, have you ever left, a job due to terrible leadership or a toxic culture? And it's so amazing to see how, I don't know how many votes it's got so far. I think it's about 500 votes. How many people have left a job due to toxic cultures and toxic leaders, right? And if you think about culture, leaders lead the culture. So is it toxic when we kind of keep hearing this data and keep seeing this research around, they're saying like 55% of people are unhappy at work, or 55% or 60% of people have experienced hazardous work conditions or cultures? Enough's enough, right? Like, I think it's time now, particularly with the last couple of years that we've gone through, organizations really look in the mirror and go, how are we treating our talent? How are we leading our businesses and cultures? How can we be the best versions of ourselves? So, and the thing is, like, how do you tell if you're dealing with a toxic culture? Look, I think intuition comes a lot around intuition. It's also the experience is what we're seeing, what we're hearing. I think the impact toxic cultures have on mental health and stress and well-being. Look, there's enough research and data around that the impact toxic cultures have. But, how do you know if you're in a toxic culture? A couple of things. There's little to no enthusiasm at work. I have personally worked in those workplaces. I've stepped into workplaces where we've come in to help transform the cultures, and also around their leadership development, where there's no motivation, no engagement, no enthusiasm. So if you think about the link to productivity and results, when you're working in a toxic culture, you can see that's just going to impact the bottom line because there's no productivity or no motivation. There's a fear of failure. Now, again, I am really passionate about the whole psychological safety space. There's some great projects, Aristotle. If you Google that project through Google, there's a couple of great books I wanted to show you. Some really great books around psychological safety. One in particular that I love by Amy Edmonston, The Fearless Organization. Some really great tools and tips in there, but the research that shows you around organizations and the impact the lack of psychological safety have in organizations, just mind-blowing. So make sure you reach out to us or research psychological safety, and also how you can build psychological safeties in your culture. Because if you've got a fear, if you've got a culture of fear, can I tell you, wow, the cortisol, the chemicals that you'd have in your incredible people within your organization, the fear, the stress, the impact that has on people's health and well-being is just mind-blowing. It's just astronomical. Again, we hear lots of stories around this. We're on a mission. Our mission today and moving forward, and it always has been really, but we're in such a focused mission around this to change the world around this and build great leaders and great cultures. So make sure you have a culture of trust, open communication, people that can speak their mind, have different perspectives and opinions without having the fear of losing their jobs or retribution or being pulled down, right? Think about how you can have a psychological safety, trust-focused culture and organization. There's constant dysfunction and confusion. The amount of times I speak to organizations or people that work in organizations that don't have any understanding of employee experience. They don't have induction. They don't understand their role and responsibilities. They don't have KPIs. So there's just so much around understanding the impact that it has when there is confusion. Like the brain loves certainty. So if there's uncertainty, that's a real killer. There's never-ending gossip and drama. Have you been in organizations like that? I have. It's debilitating. Like white anting, gossip, again, toxic culture if you hear and see that, and also don't get involved in it. Tell like, I don't know the language for it, but there's in terms of employee turnover, like employee turnover, that is such a sign if you're seeing employee turnover. And the cost of hiring great people, again, think about it. If you're losing people in a particular department or a particular manager, think about, is there any red flags there, right? Is it the manager? Is it the department? Is it the culture? And finally, leaders don't lead the values. This is such a big bugbear of ours. That you've got these values and the leaders aren't leading them. They're not even aligned to them. So we're really passionate about values alignment when it comes to culture and leaders. So if they're not leading the culture, you've got a toxic culture. So what can you do? Look, I would love to know what you've done if you've ever worked in a toxic culture for a toxic leader. Please get engaged. We'd love to hear what everyone else is, how they navigate these different environments that they have been working in. Number one, find your allies. So make sure that you can find people in the organization that you trust, that you've had similar experiences, that you can support each other. Make sure that you've got those allies and trusted people around you, and see if you can support and lift each other up as much as you can. Have them as a sounding board. I think it's really important. Focus on what you can control. So regularly when we're coaching or working with leaders in their leadership development, they're talking to us about, some of the behaviors or the culture they're seeing, and that gets them actually very stressed or gets them down, or they've had real challenges around their motivation or engagement because of it. Let's go, remember your circle of control and influence, right? There's so many things we can't control. You can't control other people's behaviors and actions, but focus on being grateful for what you are grateful for in your role. Are you learning? Are you passionate about what you do? Do you have a great boss? Do you have great colleagues? So focus on what you can control, which is yourself, and also the great behaviors and actions and the people around you, right? Look, as much as I know this is a hard one that I'm going to say around if you're working for a toxic culture, is document everything. So every kind of interaction, any kind of thing, that email, anything that makes you feel where you're witnessing or experiencing toxic culture or toxic behaviors, make sure you document it. It's really important, even though, look, I know at the time it's not very nice, but it's just really important that you document everything. Okay, it's actually a big piece of advice I give lots of people. Again, this next one, a lot of people find challenging, but the thing is, if you can do it, muster the courage to have a voice and also give honest feedback. Look, I've worked in HR, so I've had the internal HR hat on for many, many years. I now run a couple of businesses. Look, I know if people come to me and have that confidential chat with me and they have the courage to give me that honest feedback, sometimes we don't know what's going on. So it's really important that you make your HR or people and culture team aware of what's going on. If you can, depending on how large your organization is. If it's a small organization like ours, talk to the CEO direct. I know that I'd want to know of any behaviors or actions that are toxic or not aligned to our values. Because, I mean, we're not across everything. I can tell you, we're juggling all these different balls. So if you are experiencing things that are aligned to, the values of the organization or are toxic, please make sure they have the courage to give honest feedback and have a voice around this. The other thing is, and we've definitely come in and helped people around this where they've got coaches. So sometimes during the past, I've had these companies now for 15 years. I've had executives ring me going, look, I actually need a coach. I need to do, I'm working in an organization. I love it. I want to stay in the organization because I believe in it. But, I'm having some challenges with some of my peers or with my leader, and I just need a coach to help me navigate some of these things. So if you kind of need that coach or trusted advisor or mentor, have the courage to do that. I think that's really important. And finally, be the change you want to see. Remember I said that, you've got your circle of influence and control. Be the change you want to see. So if you want to see great leadership, be that great leader. If rise above it, let it kind of, and unless it's really impacting your mental health and your well-being, absolutely do something about it. But if you can have the courage to be the change you want to see and lead by example, do it. But at the end of the day, if you've tried all these things and you're finding you're still not being able to really make a change, or you're not able to improve the culture, you're not able to kind of accept or work with it, then remove yourself from it. I think life is way too short to be in organizations that have toxic leaders and toxic cultures. If you can write it out and if you truly believe in what you're doing and you love what you do and work with great people, then try and navigate it. But at the end of the day, right, like our greatest resource is time. Then it's time for you to revisit, like looking for other opportunities, and also looking for opportunities in companies that are really going to value you and understand your worth. I think that's really important. Start networking, start looking at your LinkedIn, start getting your CV sorted, start thinking about what other companies are out there, start doing your research around companies that do have great cultures. That's what we help with. We're very much at McDonald Inc. around values aligned recruitment and culture. So we really invest in working with great companies, and we know that they're great companies. So we're passionate about the talent and leaders that we're referring and recruiting into these organizations. We're really passionate about building great cultures and great leaders. We do a lot of cultural transformation, leadership development. I'm a great believer leaders lead the culture. Leadership, if you've got toxic leadership, it normally the fish smells from the head down, right? So, I think if you're working in a business or organization, you're thinking, okay, I am working in a toxic culture, think about what you can do. But also, if you are leading this culture, you want to change it, put the mirror up and change it. Because we come to work because we want to be part of something, right? We want to be cared about. We want to make a difference. And if we're coming into an environment that is negative or toxic, no one wants to be part of that. And I'm sure you wouldn't want to have that business or lead that business. So sometimes we need to make the tough decisions. Sometimes we need to go, we need to change this. We might need to let go of leaders and managers that aren't aligned to our business or organization anymore. Okay, that's tough, but I can tell you now, if you've got the wrong people on the bus and the wrong people driving the bus, it is really going to impact your business. It's really going to impact your people, their well-being. It's going to impact the bottom line. So if you have a great culture, think about how you can have a great culture, and that starts with you as leaders. Think about your mission, your vision, your values. If they're right at the moment and you love them, then make sure you live them and lead them and breathe them. If they're not right, go, well, maybe I need to change this. Our business is changing, the world's changing. Maybe we need to change our mission, vision, and values. But think about how you're leading those, the behaviors around those. So again, as I said, what you can do, find your allies, focus on what you can control, document everything, muster your courage and provide honest feedback, get a coach or a mentor, and be the change you want to see, or exit. And think about that. Think about your you and focusing on you and your own well-being, because it's the number one thing. Okay, life's too short. So hopefully that helped you today around how to survive a toxic culture. If there's anything we can do to help you at McDonald Inc. or Leadership HQ, please let us know. Make sure you nominate in our leadership awards because they're all about championing and supporting great leadership and leaders. We need to hear more stories of that. We need to inspire the world around those great teams and leaders out there. So make sure you nominate. And again, please stay kind and courageous and stay safe. And we have got this. Together we have got this. And we're always here to support and guide and inspire you. Thank you.